So I I don't know how we got here. And I know you're also wondering how we got here. But the truth is, I just took a recommendation and downloaded a book from the library. And now I am obsessed with Ali Hazelwood. Just let it happen. So, hi. I know we haven't seen each other in a while. You're probably wondering, what's going on with me? I have been deep diving into romance this summer, and I didn't expect it. I didn't set out this year to read romance, to read book talk books, but like by happenstance, I am here. I am present. I am in the book talk world, even though I don't watch book talk. I don't have TikTok at all. So I have no idea what book talk actually is. But I'm here today to talk to you about Ali Hazelwood. I think a lot of people have mixed opinions about her. She's very polarizing. I feel like either you love her or you hate her, which is what most book talk is these days. But I love her. I love her so much. I didn't expect to love her. I probably should have guessed that I was gonna like her, but I've read her whole catalog now, her whole backlog, all of her books, except for the short stories. And I am so obsessed with her. I can't express to you. I restarted Book of the Month briefly so that I could have all of her books from Book of the Month. That's where we're at this summer. Basically, before I get into ranking all of her books, because I love ranking things, as you know, I did just kind of like want to tell you why I like her so much, because I think like I have a lot of influence, a little bit of influence, not a lot. And I just think like a lot of people are missing out on her strictly because it's book talk. And there's like a whole other video, a whole nother essay that I could write about like how preconceived notions about book talk in general can just like be really annoying. And I know I fall under that category too. I think it's difficult to not judge people for reading book talk books because there are a lot of book talk books that are not good, and there are a lot of book talk books that are just poorly written. But I think like writing off entire genres and authors because of book talk is actually really shitty. Specifically, a lot of the reason why people don't like Ali Hazelwood is this argument that like her books started as Raylo fic, specifically The Love Hypothesis. When it came out, I know everybody I know hated on it because it's Raylo fanfic or whatever. And so like I just assumed I was not gonna like it. I don't actually care about Raylo. I have no stakes in that game. I'm a little bit annoyed at Raylo shippers because they're a lot, but I was like, you know, like I don't need that. I'll be okay without reading that. I was very wrong. I think people just automatically assume a lot of things about romance in general. And Ali falls under this category, obviously, but it's like people see most romance books or authors as like poorly written, trashy, smutty, steamy, whatever. And there's just this preconceived notion that like women's fiction in general is just like not as good or intelligent as other genres, essentially. And like I said, this is a whole nother topic. I'm not going to get deep into this, but I think people treat Ali's books as less than others strictly because it's romance and strictly because it maybe came from fanfic originally. And like, I just think that it's silly because most authors start out writing fanfic, especially authors of like the modern era. Like a lot of people write fanfic before they write their own stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so I actually don't give a fuck if this started as Raylo fanfic because quite literally, it's so much fun and I don't care. Part of why I attach so heavily to Ali's books is that like I found so much of myself within them, and it's so hard with straight people romance because like, I don't know, I'm not a straight girl and I don't care about sex and I don't really have any relation to most straight romances, but Ali's books are ace-coded. I don't know if you know this. She has a lot of asexual characters in her books. Not as many as I would like, but like almost all of her books, one of the characters either is explicitly asexual or it's like demi-coded. And I don't know if that means Ali's on the ace spectrum or if her husband is, or a secret third thing. But like I related so much to most of her main characters because a lot of them have intimacy issues, or they like spent most of their life being like, I don't know, like sex was really never that fulfilling for me, so I don't seek it out. And it's like, oh, actually, if it's with the right person, if you connect with them, like whatever. And so like, I connect because there is so much ace content in there, even if it's not explicit, even if it's not like the main focus of the series. Like, compared to other romance authors, this author writes very ace, and it's very compelling to me personally as an ace person. And on top of that, another non-explicit thing, but coded, very coded, a lot of her main characters could be read as neurodivergent, specifically autistic if you think about it, in like a mirror ball kind of way. Just like there were so many different main characters that I related to from that element as well. And so like, I read romance because it's fun, because it makes me laugh, because it's cute, whatever. I love a good romance. Love a good romance. But the real reason I pick up romance is because I learn about myself, and I learn about other people, and I learn about communication in interpersonal relationships through romance. And like, yeah, that's maybe a neurodivergent thing. But like, there's so much substance in romance that I think people can brush off just because there's sex. And so, I don't know, I just like had this whole breakdown while I was reading all of her backlog of like, I am not interested in romance or sex for myself, but like seeing the characters work through a lot of things emotionally really just like has been very eye-opening for me. I've been having so much fun. And that's actually the crux of the matter. Like, her books are so fun. They're funny. They're very millennial cringe. So if you're not a millennial, I can understand why you would be put off a little bit. But like, as a baby millennial myself, I'm really getting so much out of it. It's really cool because she writes about women in STEM, which is not something that romance authors do usually. And it's not just like one part of STEM. Like, I feel like she picks a wide variety of people in STEM and people in like science fields. And even though I have no idea what she's talking about, I'm like, good for you. Like, I appreciate that you're putting out this representation because it's what you want to see. And it's just like, I don't know, I feel like I'm learning a lot, even though I'm really probably not retaining a lot of it. And so like, I respect the hustle. I respect what she's trying to do, even if it maybe isn't the best written thing ever. I just don't think you have to read a book and have it be intelligent or well written for it to like touch you and like change your life. And so anyway, all of that to say, I know a lot of people kind of rag on this series because they say series, it's an author, it's not a series, but people rag on this author because a lot of her books are very predictable and they kind of all follow the same arc. Even though the characters are different, the situations are different, like it's kind of the same story retold multiple times. And I know that that can get annoying and boring for certain people, but as somebody who loves hyperfixating on the same thing over and over again, I have a lot of fun. They're just, it's like the same thing, but different enough that I can like, it's new. I don't know. Something about it just like scratches an itch that I didn't know I had. And so it's like, I see myself in these books. I'm learning new things. I'm having fun. I'm kicking my feet. I'm giggling. I'm twirling my hair. And it's like, you know what? Yes, I understand now why Book Talk enjoys it. I understand now why it's gone viral and why it's so popular. And I'm allowed to like things, even if other people like them and if other people hate them. So, all of that to say, I'm having so much fun. I don't care if you think it's bad, and I don't care if other people say it's bad. I am enjoying myself, and that's what matters. All of that to say, I'm here today to rank Allie Hazelwood's books for you. I do have to preface this by saying, I think all of her books kind of are about the same tier for me. Like, I enjoyed all of them differently and I definitely have a ranking, but I think all of them are so close together that it's like on any given day, I could put any of these at number one because they all mean different things to me, except for Bride, but that's a whole nother conversation. Without further ado, let's start at the bottom. So like I said, I've read all of her books except for those like little novella short stories that she has. So that's just like not included in this ranking. I will probably read it at some point because I am hopelessly obsessed with her, but we got 6 to rank. We're starting at the very bottom. My least favorite objectively, but also like I still enjoy it in its own way, is Bride. We do have to talk about Bride, even though I don't own Bride and I don't want to think about Bride too much. We have to talk about Bride. I read Bride a couple weeks ago, and I did it hesitantly because I have heard some things about it. I heard people don't love it. I've heard it's like kind of trashy compared to her other stuff, which is really saying something. And it is the only book that she has that's not technically like contemporary romance. It's paranormal, like urban fantasy romance. And I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie. I had fun. I think one of Allie's strengths is that she makes incredible characters. Like, the reason I love her books is because I connect with her characters and they feel very real to me. And so part of why I enjoyed Bride so much is that, like, I connected with the characters. They were fun. They're kind of crazy and unhinged, but like Misery as a character was super strong. Lo is his name? Lo as a character was super strong. Like, I felt things while I was reading it. That said, the reason why I rank it so low is not even the sex. I don't think none of the sex comes into play in my rankings, because to me, they're all the same and I don't care about any of them. It's just whatever. Like, she wrote about sex. Okay. The world building that she put into this book is the most unhinged thing she's ever done. And she is a very unhinged person. Like, I just spent the whole time being like, this is what you're choosing for a werewolf and vampire world. You're choosing to give the werewolves green blood so that when they blush, they turn olive. That's a choice that she made. Why? I don't know. Not sure. Why can the vampires eat peanut butter? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. I think it's just like she made some like choices specifically, both in plot and in world building, that were very questionable to me. And like, I was able to just kind of like brush past it because it's not that serious. But it's like, if I was like critiquing the craft, like, it's the weakest book for all of those reasons. It's fine. It's totally fine, actually. I've decided I don't care that much, but it is the lowest ranking for me because, like, I'm sorry. I can't look past that. Number 5, the bottom of the contemporary pack. I have to go with Love on the Brain. Now, don't get me wrong. Freaking love this book. I love all of these books. They're so great. I think part of why Love on the Brain is the weakest for me out of these contemporary ones is because it does have the weirdest plot. For whatever reason, the ending was the way that it was, and I don't know why she went in that direction. It was fun. It was like jaw-dropping, but also like it was kind of the least realistic. And so like I had a lot of fun. I also don't think I connected nearly as much with this main character as I did with the other ones. Like, B is very sweet and I love her to pieces, but like she and I are very different people. Levi is the love of my life. I love that man so much. I also love that in this book, like, this is the closest we get to like actual enemies to lovers, where like for the first good portion of the book, I genuinely was like, how is she gonna switch this into like true love stuff? Because like I understood where Levi's head was most of that time because I could infer that, but like from B's perspective, I was like, yeah, like he hates you. I don't know why, but he definitely hates you. So like I applaud her for that element of it, but like overall, this is like the next most unhinged after Bride. This is number 4, but I've seen it get weird reviews online, especially on Goodreads. People don't love this book because it's probably the most unique contemporary book that she's written. It's totally different from all of her other works. So number 4 is her newest release, Not in Love. And when I picked it up, I was a little bit afraid because people weren't loving it the way that they loved her other books. But like it's way too low to be number 4 because I got so much out of it. And this is like probably the most relatable main character for me. I just like Rue and I, we're twinsies. Like I get her, she is me, we are the same. If I was gonna date somebody, I would probably have to find an Eli. But like Eli is the cutest. I'm obsessed with him. Like, I just loved that she branched out and did try something so different with this. Like, in the same way that Bride is unique out of all of her books because it's just, like, not contemporary romance. Like, this is totally different because it's a lot darker and it's a lot harder hitting, I think. Her other ones are way more fluffy, but this one just, like, explores a lot of things that she doesn't do in the other books. And I love that this one is still STEM related, but, like, the STEM isn't actually the most important part of the book. Not that it is in the other books, but I feel like the science gets a little bit heavier in the other books. This is way more about, like, emotional relationships and, like, essentially, like, two people who have a hard time with, well, one person who has a hard time with intimacy, kind of like figuring out how to care for somebody else. And so it was just very compelling. This is probably the steamiest out of all her books, but like, I don't know. I've conditioned myself to not care so much, so it really didn't affect me as much as I think other people might have been affected. But like, I really liked this book a lot. Number 3. The book that I think is probably her most underrated because it's her YA book. And it is Check and Mate. This is also different from a lot of the other books that she's done before because it's about chess. And I will say my critiques for this book are that it's not the strongest plot-wise, and I think it is also like more unrealistic than some of her other books, her contemporary books. But like I just had so much fun reading this. I haven't read a lot of YA in the last couple of years because I am aging. And I think like YA is such a specific genre because it's so predictable in a lot of ways. And like this is not unpredictable. It's pretty standard, all things considered. But I think, again, it was just a book that I had a lot of fun reading, and I really did feel like I related a lot to like Sawyer specifically. I love Sawyer, he's my best friend. And I really love that this kind of feels like fanfic for The Queen's Gambit. If you like The Queen's Gambit and you also don't have a lot of brain cells, I think this book is perfect for you. I read this while I was in Yosemite, and it's the second Allie book that I ever read, and I just like have a special place in my heart for it. It brings me so much joy, and I do really love reading about chess. Even if it's unrealistic, I do not care. I had a lot of fun. I didn't expect to like this one because it's the original, but like The Love Hypothesis is my second favorite Allie Hazelwood book because it's so cute. Like, it's so giddy. It's relatable. Don't worry, it's relatable. But it's just like, it made me feel so giggly like the whole time. Probably because I do love Adam so much. Is that even his name? Yes. I was like, that's Adam Driver's name. Nope, that is also the main character's name. It's fine. It's probably Raylo fanfic, but I don't really care. Again, I related a lot to Olive. I love Olive so much. I think this is one of her funnier books. Like, it's such an extreme plot of like, yeah, I had to lie to my best friend that I'm dating this professor. And it just like kept going. Like, I don't know. One of the reasons why I love Allie Hazelwood books is that she's really good at irony in the sense that like, it's always so over the top that it's like, okay, like, surely you guys understand what's going on in this situation. And it's like, no, actually, there's just a lot of miscommunication. People are not smart. People assume the worst all the time, and I just have so much fun. There's so much irony. It's so great. It was fun. Sue me. I had fun. I don't know. Which brings me to my favorite Allie Hazelwood book. It's my first one, the first one that I read, the reason I got into her in the first place. I read it in one sitting on a plane. It's Love Theoretically, the love of my life. Underrated as hell. Like, I just don't think people talk about this book enough. But it's so good. It's so much fun. Part of why it's so compelling is like, number one, it kind of starts off enemies to lovers. I don't think any of these books, except for Love on the Brain, are true enemies to lovers because it's more kind of like, oh, like I just feel like he hates everybody. And it's like, well, no, that's not how it goes. But it's kind of enemies to lovers, vaguely. But I really appreciate the growth of our main character because she starts off being an extreme people pleaser, which again, I think this is probably the most neurodivergent coded main character that she has, that she just like shape shifts constantly to try and please everybody. And I love, Jack is like my favorite of all of the guys that she's written because he just like completely cuts to the core of her character being like, I see you, and I don't understand why you are trying to please all these people when you are you. And it just like, it kind of broke me a little bit. It was just like a lot to read because it's all about learning to let yourself be taken care of and learning to accommodate yourself and like having the confidence in who you are to like let yourself exist and be a person. And so like something about it just like really, really got to me. And it was fun, it was funny, it was cute, the romance was good, the sex was nice, there was like an ace character like right off the bat that we get to see. It's demi-coded, it's just like, it's truly just like a near perfect romance. I just had so much fun reading it, and also I was called out, and that's all I can ask for really in a good romance book. So I don't know. It's just the best. It's my favorite. I love her. I love her so much. I don't care if nobody else loves her because I love her. And I will read anything she writes. I literally don't care. It could be vampire werewolf porn and I will read it. I have read it. It's fine. Anyway, in conclusion, the moral of the story here is do not judge book talk books or people because there's probably a sliver of truth in there. And there's probably a reason why things are so popular. One day I will learn that just because it's popular, it doesn't mean it's bad. Yeah, so now you know, I've been on a romance kick. There's other romance books and series that I kind of want to talk about. But I figured I'd like dip my toes in with Allie because she's so polarizing. I don't know. I want to know everybody's thoughts. Like, are you a hater? Do you hate Allie Hazelwood? Or do you have a ranking that you would like to share? Are you obsessed? Did you read Bride? Do you have opinions? I want to know. Please talk to me in the comments. I'm so curious. I am sick of not talking about books, actually, because that's all I want to do all the time is talk about books. Just a reminder, I am still posting on Substack. I'm not on Instagram right now. I'm not on Twitter. I am loosely, vaguely kind of posting on Substack. But I'm like slowing down a little bit because it's the summer and I am definitely feeling the heat, but I am still like posting new playlists on Spotify. I am constantly updating Goodreads 24/7. So if you want to know what I'm doing, I'm probably on Goodreads. I'm on Storygraph. I don't know if I told you that. We're moving along. It's August. Cue the theme song. Bye.